Hi, hello, I'm Joan from Reading with Joan. Welcome to my channel. Kindly remember to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel today. We love reading with you and interacting with our kids. On our Wednesday time, we read, and on Saturday, we talk and we just talk about morals, talk about things that are related to our culture because we want kids to be culturally aware. We want kids to grow up to be very responsible and independent individuals. I hope you will join us Wednesday and Saturday. Remember, like, comment, and share our channel with your friends and family. We hope you enjoy reading with us today. Hello kids! We are still reading Wisdom Tales from Around the World. Today the title of our story is EmptyCup Mind. Let's find out. Another Japanese story. A wise old monk once lived in an ancient temple in Japan. One day, the monk heard an impatient pounding on the temple's door. He opened it and greeted a young student who said, "I have studied with great and wise masters. I consider myself quite accomplished in Zen philosophy. However, just in case there is anything more I need to know, I have come to see if you can add to my knowledge." "Very well," said the old master. "Come, have tea with me, and we will discuss your studies." The two seated themselves opposite each other, and the old monk prepared tea. When it was ready, the old monk began to pour the tea carefully into the visitor's cup. When the cup was full, the old man continued to pour until the tea spilled over the side of a cup onto the young man's laps. The startled visitor jumped back and indignantly shouted, "Some wise master are you? Are you a fool who does not even know when the cup is full?" The old man calmly replied, "Just like this cup, your mind is so full of ideas that there is no room for any more. Come to me with an empty cup mind, then you will learn something." Wow. Kids, this is a powerful story. Why? Because I learned that until you are actually hungry, you can never be full. Until you are actually in need, you don't understand what you need. Until you are actually in need of something, everything you have, you don't understand the what. I tell the J girls, I said it's very important not to throw your pearls to pigs because they don't understand what pearls means, and they take the pearls into their muddy water and they destroy it because they don't know the word of what it is. Kids, if you don't know the word of knowledge, if you feel you are too proud, the young monk felt he knows so much. All he needed was just an extra bit of touch. But he was actually empty. Until he realizes what he needs, he can't actually learn. Until you realize you actually need something, you don't actually get anything. First of all, if you feel that you don't need anything, you are as foolish as the young man. He stood and insulted the old man, yet he was the one that was lacking in everything, thinking he knows so much. Are you a kid today that you think you know more than everybody? That you think you don't need your teachers, you don't need your parents? I can't decide myself. I own myself. I know my own truth. I come off your high horse. Until you are empty cup minded, you can't learn anything. I tell the J girls, until you are teachable, you can't learn anything. Have a teachable heart to seek knowledge, to seek wisdom, to seek other things. Don't feel you know too much than others around you. That was an interesting lesson. I hope you come back next time to read another story and learn from it. See you next time.
Welcome to Reading with Joan. I'm Big J, and today we're reading Jungle Doctor in Slippery Places by Paul White. Now we're reading Chapter 8, In the Cooking Pot. Let's begin. Bertie shook Temba's shoulder and whispered, "It is the time of the second cock crow. Noha and I are going to the cooking pot. The men from Nungo are unlikely to visit it again today. We will return by sunset." Temba wriggled out of his blanket. "Let me come too." Bertie raised his eyebrows. "Was yesterday not enough?" The boy shook his head. It was well before dawn when they moved through the thick mist to the raft. With the coming of the sun, the mist lifted. A head loomed the side of the cooking pot. A wide channel separated it from the reed-covered mud of the side of the swamp. "For 3 kilometers," said Noha. "These reeds grow as thick as the hairs on a lion's neck, right up to where the railway is built. In them are millions of nests and more weaver birds than any man could count." Barisi turned to the crater. This pot must be nearly a kilometer long, and all its sides are as high as a giraffe. They paddled the raft along the channel between rock and reeds and rounded the far end. There was only one place to land. They dragged the raft up to the rim, where they stood dumb with amazement. That means without speaking. Every tree within sight was weighed down with weaver birds' nests. Each twig had its own nest. They stared at the inside of the pot, sloping down sharply from them. "This is like a giant anthill turned upside down!" Temba had to shout to be heard above the clamor of the birds. Bertie's voice boomed out. "Into the stomach of these jabberoos will go the food that should fill 1,000 cooking pots. Wana Kalonga must hear about this quickly." There were dozens of nests on the island of the swamp, but here are hundreds, thousands of them. They forced their way round the rim of the crater. A mirage-like haze made of the strange, red-brown, rock-lined hole merged into the pattern of the swamp. Bertie pushed through tall grass and stood on a cleared spot. He whistled with surprise as he saw a tin with rope attached above a drain, which led to a vivid green patch. Noah scrambled down and looked at the plant. "It is the hemp plant, from which comes marijuana." "The men we saw yesterday were washing the stuff," Noah shouted. "Remember, marijuana is a type of drug." Baruti nodded. "It's easy to understand why those of Nungo wish to frighten the people who live around the edge of the swamp. They are experts at telling stories of terror, of evil spirits, of fierce creatures that roar, and of men who disappear." He picked up a coil of rope. "Come, let us visit these ghosts in the dark gash in the ground which he saw from above." They hacked a path towards the bottom of the crater, through thick grass and thornbush scrub. They chopped to scores of limbs weighed down by nests which dangled almost to the ground. The noise of the birds was unbearably shrill. Near the bottom of the crater, the trees thinned out, but the dry grass was waist high to the very edge of a long black hole. Noha picked up a stone and threw it. There was the odd echoing sound of a stone being dropped into a clay pot. Moving cautiously to the edge, they peered down. "It has a bottom that isn't far below," said Baruti. He tied one end of his rope cunningly to a root, where it could not be seen from above, and threw the coil down. They heard it land. Baruti squeezed his way between 2 rocks, gripped the rope, and said, "I'm going down." He was only 2 meters over the edge when a loud, hissing rumble came down from below. Dust, small stones, and grass eddied around him. He hung on desperately and shouted, "This is no ghost, not even a huge snake. It is just the wind blowing through a long tunnel." Again he lowered himself, cautiously, dangling for a long, anxious moment, and grunting with relief when his feet touched solid ground. He was in a large, bottle-shaped cave. His legs straddled a long, dark crack through the rock floor. Noah's anxious voice reached him up from above. "Baruti, those of Nunkor are at the top. They have found our raft and are tearing it to pieces. Soon they will come searching for us." Baruti's voice came eerily from below. "Climb down, even as I have done. They will not find us here." Noha and Tembo were quickly beside. They crouched together, well out of sight. Then came shouting from above. A voice announced, "They have jumped into the crack in the pot. It is well known that no one goes there and ever comes back." Baruti chuckled softly, and Noha whispered, "Listen." There was a hissing noise gradually growing louder. With a shriek, a blast of air swept through the crack in the floor. Dust swirled around the cave. Before they could draw a breath, it happened all over again, but more forcefully still. "Let's go!" shouted a voice. "This is a place of hostile spirits." Then there was the sound of stumbling feet, and then the ear-splitting chattering of the sparrow-sized birds. "It would be a thing of wisdom to stay here quietly," whispered Baruti. "Probably there are those that watch." An hour went by. Then voices came again. Broken pieces of their raft were hurled down from above, and as if in reply, a strong gust of wind came howling through the crack in the floor. So loud was it that the wood and tins hardly made a sound as they landed. Again there is confused shouting and the noise of thousands of indignant weaver birds. After a long pause, Tembo said, "Now we have no raft." Noha nodded. "But we can crawl up the other side of the cooking pot and drop into the water after it is dark. It is but a small swim to the other side." There was a fear in Tembo's voice. "There we will find a long stretch of mud which will suck us down with certainty." Noah shook his head. "I saw a place where there was a large flat rock. Perhaps the mist hid it from you, but I can find it even in the dark. Behold, we have much time to wait before we prove what you say," said Baruti, picking up some of the poorest wood and pushing it into the long crack. "What we need is water," said Noha. "Then it would swell and block up the whole gap. That would silence the ghosts." Baruti yawned. "We have got enough wood to block half of it. Let us rest." There are still 2 hours to midday. For long hours they crouched uncomfortably in the cage, not speaking above a whisper for fear that one of the Nungo cutthroats was waiting and watching above. At last darkness came, and Baruti climbed up the rope, making sure that all was safe before hauling on the others. The swim across from the cooking pot to the rock was a nightmare. At last they struggled through slimy mud and reeds to the security of a long flat rock. "Truly," muttered Baruti. "I prayed." "And I," nodded Noha. Tembo was too exhausted to speak. The men gathered some reeds and spread them out. "We will lie on some of these and cover ourselves with others," said Noha. "They will make the rock seem softer." "Truly," grunted Baruti, "it will be better to give a meal to 1,000,000 mosquitoes than to one crocodile." It was that one crocodile I was thinking about during that terrible swim. Tembo forced a smile. It was that one crocodile I was thinking about during that terrible swim through those dark waters. Wow, that was a very interesting ending to the Jungle Doctrine Slippery Places. I hope you join us next time. Bye!
Reading with Joan, the place for all the fun.
Hi. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope to see you next time on another story time with Joan. Reading with Joan. Bye.